Welcome back to the 504 Core podcast. We're back again with Zack Nagy. What's been up, man?
And not too much. Like I was saying before, we're kind of in the midst of a unique time in college sports. You got spring camp kind of winding down, March Madness, NCAA tournaments done. Baseball is obviously in full swing. So a unique time right now, but nonetheless, there's always stuff to talk about with LSU sports. It seems like it just doesn't freaking stop.
Be honest with me. How much college basketball did you watch for March Madness?
I didn't watch enough. I watched a good bit of the first round games, none of the second. Without LSU in the men's, it was a little bit boring for me. There wasn't much juice. Not a lot of upsets, but nonetheless, once you got to that Final Four, I mean, it was perfect for the best teams really in that kind of quote unquote Ken Palm era since they've been doing that kind of grading scale. So unique time with that. Watched a little bit, not enough.
I felt like it's kind of a down year, don't you think?
I agree, and I don't want to sit here and say it was a snooze fest by any means because once you got to the Final Four, like you clear cut had the four best teams, but still, I just couldn't get into it this year, man. I made one bracket. Usually, I make like 5, 6. Like I try to go all out and make a couple with the boys and do a couple bracket challenges, but only did one this year. Entered one bracket challenge. Yeah, a little bit of a down year, and I guess we can kind of thank NIL for that. It's starting to change that kind of mid-major market.
Yeah, I was about to say there's no more John Morants and like all these like smaller guys, or smaller school guys that are just going to be top NBA guys. I mean, all NIL has changed the game. It's just kind of crazy to see what it's become. Is it? I wonder if there's ever been a time where 4 number 1 seeds were in the Final Four like this year. I mean, it just wasn't that appealing. I didn't really get much hype out of anyone. I mean, all of the group messages I've been in and everything else, it seemed like it was just kind of a down year. But yeah, kind of speaking on college basketball, Matt McMahon's caught a lot of grief from LSU fans this year, on a down year. Now he's allegedly starting to have a lot of money thrown his way and for a budget with NIL, and you kind of seeing what's going on with LSU basketball. So I'll let you take it in whatever direction you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, it was an abysmal year for LSU men's basketball. You had 14 SEC teams make the NCAA tournament. Obviously, LSU being one of 2 that did not. So, just a year where you entered the year with a little bit of hype. Jalen Reed, Tyrell Ward. I mean, you had guys that were going to come in and compete and give you some big time minutes. And then Jalen Reed tears his ACL. Tyrell Ward steps away from the program, and you're left with some inexperienced guys, some true freshmen, and it set the stage for what kind of become a challenging year for the team. So nonetheless, you have to up the ante on the NIL front and give McMahon some resources. You were operating with a significantly smaller budget than these other SEC programs, and it showed in your roster construction. You weren't able to go out and get those big fish in the portal and compete in a really talented SEC. So now, fast forward to just a critical offseason in Baton Rouge. McMahon's received kind of an up in that NIL funding. He's received money to where he can compete, and it's shown. It's a top 5 transfer portal class to this point. They're up to roughly a handful of guys, headlined by Deaton Thomas Jr. from UNLV, and that's your splash right now. I mean, that's a guy who can come in and give you 15, 16 points a night, handful of assists. This is a gamer. So to go out and steal him from the likes of Florida, Kentucky, Syracuse, it proves that LSU's really out here throwing some big bags out to these players in order to reel them into Baton Rouge because there's not much appeal. It's a challenging stretch right now for LSU men's basketball, but they have the money to offer these guys and give them some type of incentive to want to come to join the Tigers. And you're seeing that so far in this class. So the roster construction's been unique to this point, a handful of transfers. You have 3 really good 2025 signees on their way to Baton Rouge, all of which are top 100 prospects in the country. So it's coming together slowly but surely. I think you'll likely see 1 or 2 more portal additions before they're all said and done, but it's about continuing to retain some talent like Robert Miller, et cetera. We'll see where they go, but definitely a promising stretch so far with the portal being open for McMahon.
Who are some other guys that you've heard of? I don't know if you can talk about it, but that they're possibly in on.
Yeah, there's a couple of Power 4 players. I'll kind of leave it at that they have on their radar, but they've kind of got their big fish out the way, is the best way to put it. Deaton Thomas was a big one. Mike Nwoko is a guy who's not a headliner, but he has SEC experience. So to go out and get him from an SEC school is big. Max McKinnon is a guy who I think is like really going to fly under the radar. a Portland transfer who averaged 15 points a game, over 40% from three. I mean, he's a bucket getter from all three levels. I think this is a guy who just adds another scoring threat. So the guys that you have right now are your headliners. Now it's about surrounding them with key pieces. Not sure you'll see some big splash additions, but you're going to have some guys that can round out the roster and compete and give you some rotational minutes moving forward.
Do you think they could be in like contender status? Like, what do you think? I mean, it's obviously extremely early. The season ended 5 minutes ago, but like, do you think they have a goal in mind of just like making the tournament, like trying to win I mean, obviously everyone's trying to win a championship, but like, do you think that's like the expectations or the goals that they're trying to do is just like throw so much money that we're trying to be a championship level team? Like, what do you think they're trying to do here with this NIL influx?
Yeah, I think ultimately you want to do one step at a time here, right? You want to be able to compete in the SEC and hang in there against some really talented programs, but making the NCAA tournament is of the utmost importance right now. And I think that's that one step at a time approach. You can almost use the football terminology for Brian Kelly. You want to make the college football playoff and then continue to improve year by year to become a contender. For LSU men's basketball, making the tournament is step one. Step two is becoming a contender. So for me right now, I wouldn't put this team in contending status by any means necessary. I just don't think they have that talent level quite yet. But a team that can make the tournament is key because I think Matt McMahon's entering a season where it's an NCAA tournament or bust. I think he has to make the tournament in order to keep his job. They've given him the funding. He's piecing together a good roster. But I think step one, make the NCAA tournament. I think they can do that.
Let's say he goes to the tournament and loses by 6 to 10 points in game one. Where do you see his job status? If like just pure speculation, in your opinion.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's why Scott Woodward, the LSU athletic director, gets paid the big bucks to make those big decisions. For me, I think getting over the hump and making the NCAA tournament's big. I think that would give him an opportunity to potentially keep his job and retain his status as the LSU head coach. But you just don't know what the kind of standard and the expectations are right now. You obviously have a baseball team that's thriving, women's basketball team that's thriving, football that's on the uptrend, softball that's good. I mean, you're good in just about everything. I didn't even get to gymnastics. I mean, LSU's an everything school, and you want to be able to keep that going into men's basketball. If Woodward thinks that McMahon can continue to keep them on an uptrend and get the ship steered in the right direction, I see no reason why they wouldn't keep him.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting year for him and everything else. So that's all I got. LSU basketball. Anything else for basketball wise?
Yeah, I mean, on the men's side of things, we handle business there. On the women's side, it's an interesting offseason. I mean, you're entering territory where you just gotta really dominate the portal. It's become a do or die situation for Kim Mulkey and company, and they went out and got Kate Koval from Notre Dame, which to me is such a sleeper addition. I mean, this was a girl who was a top 10 prospect in America in the 2024 class. Is coming off of an all-conference season as a freshman, kind of an all-freshman, all-conference selection in 2024. So I'm intrigued with what they're doing so far. Obviously, keeping Flau'jae Johnson, Michaela Williams as that nucleus is key. But now going out and getting transfers and continuing to build out the roster is important. It's going to be Flau'jae's last season in Baton Rouge, Michaela Williams in her prime. You want to maximize those two to the best way that you can. So you got to go hit the portal with force. And right now, getting Kate Koval is a good step in the right direction. Pair her with the number one recruiting class in the country with 3 5-stars and 4 top 30 overall prospects. You're in a good spot from a roster construction perspective, but you got to get some more front court help. I think you'll see them do that sooner rather than later.
See, I mean, I don't really watch much college women's basketball or just college basketball in general, unless the freaking Pelicans suck and I'm just like doing self scouting. But seems like women's basketball, whoever's the best like big, and I'm not talking about like just like big women. I'm just talking about like tall women. Just they seem like they have such a big edge on everyone else. Like all these championships. I know UCLA had that one chick; she was pretty big. I mean, just whoever has the best front court really seems to have an advantage because I mean, let's face it, there's really not that many girls out there that are 6'5". So I don't know. Have you watched this girl from Notre Dame at all, or is it just kind of like she's a 5-star, didn't really come into her own, now she's getting a new opportunity kind of thing?
Yeah, Kate Koval to me is a beast. I mean, LSU was the runner-up in her recruitment last year. That kind of relationship that they built ultimately paved the way for her to make her way to Baton Rouge. but she's a 6'5" Ukrainian, big, strong legs. Like, this is a monster in the paint. She has extremely, extremely good instincts in the paint as a shot blocker. I mean, she was very, very good for the Fighting Irish last season. So this is a girl who isn't necessarily the biggest project in the world. I think polishing her offensive game is obviously going to be key. But defensively, she's already showing a ton of promise. So she's a day one starter, Mike. This is a girl who I think can come in and really, really make an impact when you're losing Samaya Smith, Aaliyah Del Rosario to the transfer portal. Obviously, Anissa Mora is going to the WNBA draft. So you're losing three pieces of your front court to get Kate Koval's big time. She was a 5-star for good reason. Performed pretty well for Notre Dame last season as a true freshman. So to go out and get her big time, not a project. She's somebody who I think can continue to evolve this offseason and make an impact in year one.
How's their freshman class coming in? I'm assuming it's good.
Yeah, it's the number one recruiting class in America for good reason. I mean, you're looking at 2 McDonald's All-Americans. It should have been 3. I think Devon Barrage got absolutely snubbed. But nonetheless, Zakiya Johnson's a bucket getter, just a really good, talented player that they went and got from Kentucky. Grace Knox, they went and got her from California, the number one player in California. She's very, very skilled for her size. She can get buckets in a hurry. You look at Bella Hines, a player who is a little bit swept under the rug. She can just score from all 3 levels in the blink of an eye and give you 30, 35 a night. Obviously, at the high school game, it's going to take time to adjust in college. But this is a 4-woman class that is really, really talented. And I think Kim Mulkey is going to have to rely on at least 2 of them to give some big-time minutes this upcoming season.
What are their positions?
Yeah, so 3 of them are guards, and one of them's a forward. Grace Knox being the forward. And I really think that she's going to have to give some big time minutes. I kind of alluded to the fact that you're rather thin in the front court right now. So falling back on Grace Knox isn't the end of the world. Let her get her feet wet early. She's a player that can really do it all for you. I'm intrigued to see how that pans out. She's a really talented player.
Yeah. Anything else to touch on women's basketball?
No, I think, you dominate the transfer portal right now, and you continue to kind of reconstruct this roster to be competitive for Flau'jae Johnson's last season. It's big time. I think as you continue to work on this, I think we know Kim Mulkey is one of the savviest recruiters in college sports. So handle business. We know she will. Go out and get another big fish and see where you can go from here. But they're trending in the right direction as always.
Yeah, it seems like they've been trending in the right direction since she's got here. So hopefully be reciprocated towards Matt McMahon, and they're gonna see. So only time will tell. But yeah, do you want to do football or you do baseball?
You pick whatever you want.
I've been kind of in the baseball lately. I've been watching, pretty much every single game, or at least as much as I can. So I know they kind of had a scare last night with Nichols. Yeah, I don't even know where to take it with this team. They're obviously loaded. Sometimes they play down in their competition. Sometimes they play up. I really don't know what to make of it. Obviously, they're really, really good, really, really talented. I think they're just as good as any other team in the country, it seems like. I know people want to say Tennessee, and then Tennessee goes out and loses. Florida State goes out and loses to Florida, who's not very good. Like, I think it's just classic college sports. The first like 5 guys are murderers row as it pertains to hitting, and then there's just a ton of different directions I could take this. Like, who's been your biggest surprise of the season so far? I guess would be my one question for you at the moment.
Yeah, I think any time a newcomer really stands out and dominates is going to be a quote unquote surprise. It's hard to go from these mid-major programs and dominate at the SEC level. So for me, my quote unquote surprise would be Danny Dickinson. I had high hopes for him from the jump. I thought that this was going to be a guy who was going to handle business, but to actually see it come to fruition is awesome. To keep it plain and simple, I mean, Danny Dickinson's been electric. He's a fantastic player. He's handled business at second base. He's a guy who's been very, very nice for this team so far. I like what he's doing here. The rotation from top to bottom, solid. I love, obviously, Stephen Milam. Jared Jones is a slugger. Third base has been a little bit of a question mark. But for me, the kind of standout performer has been Danny Dickinson. I mean, he's been sensational. And then you can't talk about kind of standouts without mentioning Derek Curiel, the true freshman. I mean, he's gotten on base every single game, is rewriting the record books, has been a phenomenal, phenomenal player, looking like the SEC freshman of the year by a landslide. So excited to see how he kind of winds down the rest of the SEC play into postseason ball. But so far, if you're talking about two guys that have stood out like crazy, it's going to be Derek Curiel and Danny Dickinson for me.
Yeah, Curiel's been incredible. He's been in a little bit of a slump lately. Not the biggest slump. It hasn't really been terrible. One guy that's really surprised me is Ethan Fry. I mean, I guess he really has been hurt the past couple of years. I mean, he's hitting the cover off the ball. So I think he's been a really pleasant surprise. I mean, he could push for the official DH spot by the way he's playing. So yeah, LC baseball's on a roll. What'd you make out of the? What are the takeaways you got out of the OU series?
Yeah, that this pitching staff is elite. And if you can get the most out of Anthony Ianson and continue to have Chase Shores continue to develop, you're going to be putting yourself in a really good spot heading into postseason play. Cade Anderson's an absolute dog. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. To see what he's doing kind of week in and week out is nothing short of spectacular. So we've seen him kind of get rattled a little bit at times, but bounce back in a big way. So I would look at my takeaway as this pitching staff is sensational and your offense is even better. Jay Johnson put together a team that might not have had these headliner multitude of first round picks, but they're super balanced and they all gel together really well. So you're seeing that chemistry and that kind of roster construction pay off from 1 to 9. They're sensational at the plate. I mean, when you have Stanfield batting at the bottom of your lineup and continuing to be a player of the game multiple times over the last couple of weeks, speaks volumes to the roster construction that Jay Johnson's done. So takeaway from that OU series is your pitching staff is elite and your offense just can't be stopped day in and day out.
Yeah, it seems like even when they do get kind of quote unquote shut down, on the back end or they'll catch fire. They just have too much talent not to be officially shut down for every game. So I think if the pitching staff is just even B minus, I think they'll win 90% of their games. They don't really have to do anything too crazy. But yeah, it's really impressive what they do have right now. Anything else baseball wise that we didn't touch on that you can think of?
No, I mean you're coming off of a big time back-to-back SEC series wins. You've been handling business at the plate, dominating on the mound. I mean, obviously you had a scare on Tuesday night at Nichols, but that eruption in the 7th inning paved the way for another win. So it shows that in the blink of an eye, even if this offense is struggling, other teams can't sleep because they'll instantly wake up and erupt like a volcano and put 5 runs on you like they did in the 7th inning to kind of take home that game. So this team is sensational, Mike. I'm really intrigued to see what happens come postseason play because they're looking the part.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Well, I think it's going to come down to matchups at the end. I mean, the SEC. I mean, how many teams are in the top 10? Like 6 or
Yeah, it's a
7?
gauntlet. It's like 5 or 6 teams in the top 10, and they just continue to grow more and more each week. And you're starting to see the parity in the conference. I mean, you can't sleep on any opponent. So it's been a pleasant sight to see, and we're really seeing this LSU team hit their stride.
Have you done any scouting or do you know anything about Bama baseball besides Brady Neal being their catcher?
Yeah, not enough scouting on my end. I know that I'm confident in LSU's abilities to kind of handle business, but for me, from a scouting report perspective, lack thereof when it comes to Alabama baseball.
Yeah, no, I figured. Yeah, I mean, is this a Brady Neal revenge game? Time will tell. So,
I still can't believe he went there.
oh, I mean, I think Jay Johnson probably sat him down. Like, we probably got a bunch of talent coming in. It's like,
Oh, I knew.
whatever.
The general vibe was that he was going to leave, but to go to Bama, I was like, oh my goodness. But
I mean, I don't know if NIL or if it's just an FU or whatever, but yeah, I guess there's no loyalty in college sports. It's pretty obvious. So just whatever is the best situation for me. That's what the kid's gonna do. So um, yeah, that's all I got. LC baseball. They're rolling. So bright times ahead. Let's move on to football. Spring game. Would you call it a spring event coming up?
yeah, so you got this quote unquote spring event coming up on Saturday, April 12th, and it's kind of just a showcase where you're going to see some special teams work, a couple individual drills, maybe some live periods on 11 on 11. But obviously, it's not going to be this televised spring event or spring game. It's more of an event for fans to be involved. You're going to have a bunch of fans in attendance, checking out the team, getting to see them firsthand look. And afterwards, you'll have an autograph session where once you walk into Tiger Stadium, you'll be given this kind of poster. And afterwards, you can go meet a couple of players on the field, get some autographs, and go through that. But no formal event this year from a spring game perspective, but you'll be able to check out the team if you make your way to Tiger Stadium. But they've been working through camp for the last couple of weeks, and it'll be exciting for fans to get their first look.
Didn't aren't they like kind of pretty much talking about getting rid of spring games, like just in college football as a whole? Isn't that like kind of what I've been reading, or I've been reading a bunch of fake shit?
No, I mean, you're seeing a lot of the top programs in Power Four start to kind of shy away from it. Started with Nebraska. You saw USC follow suit, Ohio State, LSU, Texas, etc. So a lot of people aren't really buying into the whole spring game concept nowadays for good reason. It's televised. You don't want players to get quote unquote poached. You don't want to see injuries, etc. So there's a bunch of different reasons. Matt Rule came out and was one of the most transparent about it. So it was nice to get his perspective being a head coach at a program that's on the uptrend in Nebraska. So you're going to start to see more and more programs follow suit.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there's really no benefit to it. I mean, what is the benefit? No one watches. It'd be one thing if it'd be like, oh yeah, people are desperate to watch the game, and I feel like majority, 90% of people don't watch it. I guess you just got the diehards that really watch it, but there really is no benefit to it. And then, yeah, I mean, I understand, but it'll be interesting. I'm sure LSU will pack some people out there. So, what is you been going to the camps? Like you've been going to a lot of them, or
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Every
how
day.
many do you go to these days? Do you go to all of them, or do you go to like 80% of them? What would you say?
Yeah, so they give us media viewings really 2 or 3 times a week. So it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and sometimes they might take out one of those days. But anytime they can give us a viewing, I make my way over to the facility just to check them out. They're short viewings; they only give us 20 minutes for the most part. So it's not the most extensive look in the world, but just to get a chance to see who's in, who's out, rotations and whatnot. More on the offensive side is what we've gotten to look at. So a good bit. We get a decent bit.
What was it? Orgeron and Miles didn't really give much press now.
No, and Brian Kelly's been one that's been giving in uh, just a multitude of kind of days to check it out. Spring camp's been a little bit less than normal. Fall camp was just a ton of coverage he provided us. We were right up there, front and center, multiple days a week. They've kind of shied away from that a little bit during spring camp. We're kind of higher up on a balcony now and given roughly 2 to 3 20-minute viewings. They've given a couple full practice viewings, but it's been limited.
Yeah, I don't understand why like Miles and Orgeron. I mean, I can understand Orgeron because he had his women there, but yeah, I just you want to make the media your friends, right? You don't want the media against you. So I you know whatever that's a whole nother topic. But what are something you've been seeing in the media or the camps that maybe impressed you or keep an eye on or whatever?
Yeah, for me, I can kind of pick 2 from each side of the ball, and on defense, it's the talent in the edge room, man. They are so talented at defensive end, and it starts with the trio of transfers: Jamari Butler, Patrick Payton, and Jack Pyburn. Those 3 have been sensational during camp, and then you throw in Gabe Relaford, who's returning for his second season. You just have a ton of depth in that edge rushers room. I'm so excited to see how that 2 deep depth chart kind of shakes out because you have 4 guys that can make an impact on any down. I mean, you can just flip flop however you want, and they're going to make a play. So that's one standout on defense. The other one is the safety room and kind of the lack there of competition. I think you're going to see them hit the portal and go out and get an experienced guy. You've been working with North Carolina State transfer to Marcus Cooley. You've been seeing Javian Toviano, Deshaun Spears, a little bit of Joel Rogers too. But I think you got to go out and get another body in there in the portal. We'll see what they do, but I could definitely envision them hitting the portal to get another guy in the safety room. And cornerback, by the way, is just sensational. They've got some dudes there, so
Yeah,
that sticks out.
seems like they got some bodies at cornerback. So who's the starting safeties right now? Like Cooley and Toviano. Like,
It's
or is it
hard to
just
tell. They flip flop so much, man. It's been a lot of Cooley and Toviano. Deshaun Spears is a guy who I'm so high on. I want to see him continue to hit that next gear, but I'd expect Deshaun Spears to get some big time run. And for me, those are kind of the defensive takeaways: is your defensive end room / edge rushers are uber talented. Safety portal might need to go get another guy, and then your cornerbacks have a ton of talent. It's going to be fun to see how Corey Raymond kind of divvies up those snaps.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They're kind of retooling I would say just the DB room. I feel like the whole roster as a whole, they've just been kind of retooling on the fly, especially with this transfer portal class. So I know one thing I keep seeing about is the O line. What's the latest with that?
Yeah, so when you kind of look at kind of standouts or takeaways from the offensive line room right now, it's that DJ Chester is still sitting as your starting center, your first team center, and you went out and got Braylon Moore from Virginia Tech, and the assumption and expectation was that he'd earn that starting center spot during spring camp, and He has not been able to do that so far. You've been seeing DJ Chester take first team reps throughout the entire spring camp. So for me, that's the takeaway, is that DJ Chester is still your first team center. Nonetheless, you got Tyree Adams as your left tackle, Paul Mabenga as your left guard, DJ Chester as your center. And then the right guard spot's going to get a little bit tricky. Do you put Josh Thompson there? What happens right there? And then Weston Davis is your right tackle. So a lot of flip-flop, a lot of position battles heading into fall ball in August. It'll be fun to see how it shakes out, but no shortage of talent in that room.
Are there any penciled-in starters for the O-line, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think as it stands right now, Tyree Adams has been taking all of your left tackle snaps. Paul Mabenga has been getting a ton of looks at left guard. Center is going to be up in the air. Right guard is going to be up in the air. And Weston Davis, your former five-star, has been really kind of asserting himself as a player who can compete. There was some buzz that this team could go out in the portal and get another right tackle, and they very well could if they want to get an experienced piece. But so far, I would pencil him in as a starter as it stands because he's been making some really good strides. But everybody on this O-line needs to watch their back because Carius Kern's on his way in. I mean, five-star true freshman, just a sensational player. He's versatile. He can play inside, outside. Right now, they've had him as the second string left tackle, but by the time fall ball rolls around, I can't wait to see what his body style looks like because he's shedding fat, putting on muscle, looks the part. He's going to be battling it out for any spot he wants on that O-line. So that first team needs to watch their back for sure.
Well, he's an athletic freak, right? I mean, I saw him doing backflips and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I guess right now, I mean, this is my prediction from just everything I've gathered. I would do like Davis on the right, Mubenga on the right guard, or Thompson on the right guard. And then, I mean, Chester Moore seems like a battle. Left guard would probably be Kern, and then Tyree Adams. I mean, that's probably what it sounds like it's going to end up being, unless something else comes into fruition. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, right now the battle is going to be: do you want Kern inside or out? And he's been getting a lot of tackle looks at the left side. So I know I'm going to kind of contradict myself here because I said that I would pencil in Tyree Adams as a starter, but watch his back. I mean, he needs to watch his back because Carius Kern's on the uptrend right now. When you're looking at that left guard spot, Mabenga is your first team guy right now. But like I said, it's hard to pencil any guy in because they flip flop so much, man. It's almost hard to tell.
Yeah, I guess they're just trying to cross-train guys. So I know you got to go in a minute. What's the latest with LSU recruiting? I just saw Bradford went to Ohio State. You hear that? You hear the money? I mean, just what other reason would he be going to Ohio State?
The development of the relationship that he's gotten with Ryan Day and that coaching staff has really set the pace in his recruitment, and they won out there. Nothing's over until Penn touches paper in December. This is going to be one that LSU's working until the final buzzer. And the thought of a 5-star number one safety in America right down the road in Baton Rouge leaving is definitely one that wouldn't look good on this coaching staff and the support staff's resume. So I think you're going to see some big time moves over the next couple of months. But he's got 3 official visits set for the summer. He's got Ohio State, LSU, etc. So you're going to see this team swing for the fences here. We'll see what official visits he does take because just because they're set doesn't mean he's going to go. We'll see what happens, but this is one that's going to be worked until the buzzer. But on the bright side of things, you have the number one wide receiver in America and Tristan Keys committed to the program, the number one wide receiver in the state in Jabari Mack. Defensively, Richard Anderson, the number one defensive lineman in America committed to the program. Aiden Hall, a top 5 safety in America committed to your program. So there's no shortage of talent. You're really working the recruiting trail right now, but ultimately you could go and get 5 5-stars, 6 5-stars. But if you don't get Blaine Bradford, that's a blemish that the LSU community won't let down. You got to do everything you can until they get him.
It's all about the guy they lose out on, right? So,
yeah. If I've learned anything about the LSU fan base, you could do 10 things right, 1 thing wrong, and they're going to solely focus in on that one wrong thing. So Brian Kelly and company certainly have their work cut out for them to try to make sure Blaine Bradford does not leave Baton Rouge.
Yep, LSU has standards, unlike a lot of other New Orleans sports teams. So, yeah, I mean, it's just we'll see. Like you said, pen to paper. That's what it is. So I was talking to some LSU diehards this weekend. They're just like, dude, I'm so out on recruiting. I don't care what news pops. Just
dude, anytime I put out something about a commit or whatever, the immediate DM or the immediate response is, who cares? It doesn't matter anymore. but we'll see what happens when Penn touches paper. We'll see what
Yep.
happens in December. Bryce Underwood broke this fan base for good reason.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously there's positives that came out of it, but I mean, it's just a good lesson, and just like it's not over till pen to paper, like you said. So we'll see. I'm not going to get down on it. I don't think any other LSU fan should get down on it, just from recent history. But you never know. So we'll see. Anything else you want to touch on?
Nah, man, we hit on everything. That was absolute money. Got in some men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball, football, recruiting, spring camp, jam packed pod.
Yeah, for sure. All right, if you guys can like and subscribe, really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.